But you expressed like interest in music like pretty early, but like were you like into school, sports, or like were you like starting to run the streets like early, like as a teenager?
Both. Extremely both as a teenager. So my mom, well, okay, so to start with the first question, school sports. I was horrible at basketball, even though it's my favorite sport. I'm horrible. I ain't got the hands for it. The coordination,
It's funny how that works,
bro. It's crazy. like dribbling and shit. Like I'm an okay shot, but like I couldn't dribble and get around somebody or like whoop whoop. And, you know what I'm saying? Like
do all the tricks and everything.
Yeah, like it. But I was really good at soccer for some reason, and that was my shit.
That takes a lot of coordination too, though.
That's like hand-eye or feet-eye coordination. And for some reason, that came a lot easier for me as far as sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I do have really good hand-eye coordination because, like, I can draw extremely well. Like, I can do art and stuff like that and, like, draw comic book type shit. But I can the same hand that can hold this pencil and like make these like do shit that other humans can't or other people around me can't. I mean, like I can't take a basketball and dribble it enough to walk with it at the same time and get all the way from the starting point to the basket. You know what I mean? It's like it's weird how that shit is whack. Yeah, man, because like I love Michael Jordan and especially basketball back then, man. Like Charles Barkley and fucking Patrick Ewing, bro. Like all those guys. I was a huge basketball head back then.
So then you were saying that, but like as far as school, like were you like a real like into being a good student, or like you were focused more like on music and everything?
No, I was focused more on, I wouldn't say music yet. Music was just something that I could do at that point. At like my elementary days, when I was in elementary school, and even my early teens, I was just like say I'd be out cutting the grass or doing some chores or some shit like that. Or just anything involving music. Like I was like, wow, I can keep up with everything they're saying. I got like, I didn't even know what to call it at that time, but I was just like I can mimic everything they're saying and everything they're doing rhythmically or melodically for the most part, exactly like they're doing it. So I was like, well, I love doing music just for the simple fact of that I can like, mimic it like that. But drawing and art was always like my first love. So if you caught me in the classroom, I was never doing no kind of work. I was always drawing or something. And I was never listening, never paying attention. I never did good in school, bro. I was always fucking off doing, if it wasn't something that I wanted, then it was like I don't care. I don't give a fuck about it. I'm going to sit through this whole class and not pay attention to shit. I'm just going to draw this cool ass picture and go to the next class and do the same thing, or just be a dickhead and interrupt the whole class and crack jokes and shit like that. But yeah, like
you strike me as that type of person that you would be kind of like the class clown kind of.
I don't strike you, or I do?
No, you do. You do strike me as that type. Yeah.
Yeah, I was, bro. I definitely was. I did anything to make motherfuckers laugh back in the day, even if it was just retarded. But anyway, yeah. So like, but then I got to be like a teenager, and I was wanting to do stuff after school that was like, my mom, remember how I said she was very strict? So she's always like, you better catch that motherfucking bus home and come home and do your schoolwork, and then that's it. And like almost like live this life of fucking solitude. Like I wasn't allowed to go hang out with my friends because she didn't have very good opinions of them. She thought they was like hoodlums and shit. And I'm like, all we're doing is just chilling uptown. Like we're just, the school's uptown, so we're going uptown. We're hanging out. You know what I mean? Like we ain't doing shit. We ain't getting into trouble. But in her eyes, I was being disobedient, and she she had an extremely short fuse for any of that. So at 14, she was like, oh, you want to disobey me and you want to live the life you want to live? Well, you're going to go live with your pops at 14. Now, my dad at this time, he was completely off into a party all the like he was like Eddie Murphy, like my girl wants to party all the time, party all the time. Like that's literally all he fucking did, bro. So anyway, she's no see this is I still don't understand this about my mom, why she made this decision. Because she's a very sound woman. She like very smart, very intelligent. Um she always thinks of the right thing to do. But she was like, nah, I don't care what the outcome is of how he raises you or anything like this, or how like she knew just the type of life that he lived, that he wasn't gonna give a fuck. I was going from complete and utter strictness to living up at 14, living a life of like, I can stay out as late as I want. I can leave for as long as I want. I could stay at a friend's house and not even call him for like a week. I could sneak his liquor because like by then he had become a full-blown functioning alcoholic who always kept liquor. He, like I said, he dabbled in substances and shit like that. So yeah, I did steal his liquor a lot. And she sent me to live with him at 14, and I took full advantage of the fact that I didn't have any kind of boundaries or nothing. Like I could do whatever I want. So that's when I started running the streets. That's when I started getting into trouble. That's when I was just like, my life changed for the, I'm not going to say the worst, man. I will always look at it like, damn, I could have had better. Like if my mom would have held on to me and maybe was a little bit not more strict, but just figured out patient, a different way to do shit with me instead of just the strictness, because I didn't respond to that. But like I don't, moving with my dad, like I love my dad. Rest in peace. Like he was one of my favorite people in the world. But yeah, I see that now that wasn't the best decision. But anyway, I forgot what I was gonna say, but it's just,
well, you were getting into trouble in the streets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So at this time, like, what are you doing in the street though?
In the street, my main one of my main things that I did was the breaking into people's shit with credit card, because I learned that from having to break into his house with a credit card. Like if he was gone, he was like, here, I'm gonna teach you something. So he taught me how to get into his house. And I'm like, you just unlocked everything for me as a bad kid. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna, break into other shit and do what it do. So yeah, like and then thankfully I never got off into drugs and shit like that. I mean, I smoked weed and shit like that, but I never got off into like fucking pills like Vicodins or coke, or even though my dad, he did coke, he did the white shit. But I never did any of that shit. I just drank. I drank like a lot of, like he always had the cheapest whiskey. It's called Beams 8 Star, and he always bought that. It was literally like $10 a half gallon. So there was always shit to drink. So me and my friends would be like, y'all want to get drunk? We can, steal a pint out of that half gallon, and he won't know the difference. So we would always do that. And yeah, running the streets, out here being a little promiscuous ass, you know what I'm saying? Fucking breaking into people's shit, breaking into people's cars. Never really on some violent shit. I was never like, I was never in a gang or nothing. I never did no shit like that. I knew a lot of my friends were like in gangs and shit. I was just like, I kind of was just like, what's the point? I mean, like, this is it, but I never like disrespected it, but I never, did that shit. So, but just by affiliation, I was still basically in the shit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If six of you,
that's who they see you with and everything.
Right. If you're with like 10 of your homies and 6 of them rep like a certain whatever, then by affiliation, you guys rep the other 4 of y'all rep that shit too. So
right.
Even if you don't, even if you're like, I'm not involved in this at all. Like I don't rep shit. I don't wear a rag. I don't, cock my hat to the left. I don't do nothing. So it's like, it was still, yeah, growing up, man. Like, and what I look at it like, all the negativeness of growing up, like all the freedom that I had, that sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn, I wish a different decision would have been made. And maybe I would have made something of myself as far as like, I'm happy with what I'm doing with my life, with this music. And I'm happy that I'm so blessed that I'm good at it. And I'm thankful. But I could have been something else too. And I never explored those options because, I was a dickhead and I allowed my mom to kick me out, and I just rolled with it and went to my dad. And it's kind of like I'm glad that happened though at the same time, because the time that I lived with my mom growing up, I got all of that, that small town lifestyle, that state of mind. And then I went to my dad's and I got this inner city kid state of mind, like that was fucking up. And so it's like I have both cultures, or whatever cultures, I don't know if you want to call it that, but I have
it's
both
the lifestyle. You got two different lifestyles
right, mixed in me that I would say rather balances me out pretty fucking good. You know what I mean? Like, I can get on this wavelength, I can get on this wavelength, and it's like I can communicate with people, and
it just makes you more of a well-rounded person that you could hold conversations with people a lot better.
Definitely, absolutely. And so, and that's the main thing. Like that, I'm glad that being 44 years old, I'm looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that I went through that, all that shit, because now I am who I am. If I would have been like real one-sided, like somebody that just doesn't understand, like I could have been like some fucking kid that, or I could have been some dude that, you're walking down the street and you're all nervous to walk next to somebody or some shit, and be like, get out of this guy's way. And it's just like, fuck that. It's just another dude. Like, or you know what I mean? Or I could have been way over here. The inner city kid could have completely took over, and I could have been the guy walking down the street that would do something to somebody. You know what I mean? I don't know, just weird, like, evaluation of what I think the outcome would have been if, like, I would have swayed completely this way or completely this way. But that's whatever happened to me was just in the cards. You know what I mean?
Right.